powered by Riverside.
If you spent 4.5 hours at a house with your boss and his boss and watched, I think, the Iron Bowl, hung out, and walked away with going, I'm still leaving, but I'm not going to formally tell you yet because you can't do anything about it. Would that have been a good Saturday for you, Tim? Because that's what Lane Kiffin was going through on Saturday.
Okay. I was like, where are we going with this? Who is watching football with their boss? Like, the last thing I want to do on a day off is have my boss. Yeah. Well, when your job is football, I guess that makes more sense. Lane played a little too close to the sun here. I cannot believe what's happening at the SEC. What a great Saturday for college football.
It is absolutely like we were sitting there watching Auburn go down the field to come back in that game. We had Cal going down the field after giving up a lead to SMU, and I'm sitting there also refreshing my phone to see if Ross Dittinger or whatever from Yahoo Sports is like telling me what's happening with Lane Kiffin. That is college football at its finest. Meanwhile, my wife was completely asleep, and it was like, I am done with all of what you're watching.
There's a certain sect of college football fan that is like flight radar, hiding in bushes,
yes,
hitting up mortgage like titling companies and asking about their like recent activity. And we're part of that, but we are a special group of fans. I'm so excited for the drama. I already can't wait for Lane Kiffin and LSU to go to Ole Miss next year. Anything is possible when it comes to SEC football. Anything's possible in Big Ten football because the Indiana Hoosiers are 12-0. That's the best part.
You bet. You are listening to the Kirkwood Dunn podcast. I'm Trent.
I'm Tim.
And as you can see or listen to, we are now on multi-channels. We have YouTube TV. We do have YouTube TV, but we're not on there yet.
Unfortunately, have YouTube TV.
We're on YouTube video. We are on Twitter, as you all know. We are on Instagram now and TikTok, which is a scary place. I have never been in it, but you know what? We got to get on TikTok, and everyone's like, get on TikTok. So we're there. So we're asking you, if you are listening to this, please like, subscribe, follow, love, comment, whatever you can do to help us with that. Because I have Ohio State fans right now in my mentions making fun of me that I only have 4 listeners to my podcast. And I know that's not true. Tim knows that's not true. But please like and subscribe if you get an opportunity. If you're watching on YouTube, do it below. Smash that like button if you can. And subscribe and follow the podcast. We would really appreciate it because today we are talking about 12-0 Indiana. A little recap of the Purdue win, then also looking at Ohio State, number 1 versus number 2 in the Big Ten championship game in Indianapolis. We have plenty to talk about that just so because we have a lot of new listeners, as I'm seeing. We talk about the recaps today, a little bit about storylines coming out of the weekend, and then Thursday we will dive fully into the Ohio State matchup and go through that. But Tim, we have to start talking about what, I don't know, the incident that occurred in West Lafayette, the beatdown that occurred to Barry Odom in West Lafayette. 12-0 as Indiana beats Purdue handily.
It was great.
What was your reaction?
I was like not chill on the first drive or two from the offense, but I was never really in any sort of fear. I happened to head to a local watering hole to enjoy the game. And I, for whatever reason, picked a bar that ended up having like 15 Purdue fans in there. And sort of like there wasn't really a ton of IU fans. And they're a little chirpy. I was like, okay, you guys, hey, good on you. You're winning 0 games in conference over 2 years, but like, yeah, sure, you're gonna do this. And that faded out really quick. So they left. I believe it was like 8 minutes left in the second quarter. So I think, it was a lot of ball talk from them. Barry Odom tried to pull a Kurt Signetti with a fire up the troops and everybody sucks or whatever else. Turns out, Barry Odom, you suck just as much as Ryan Walters. And Purdue is legitimately like one of the worst teams in college football this year. And they still are. They are like a little bit better than they were last year because last year was real bad, but they're now going to go multiple years with no conference wins. I don't know when they get the next one. And the tables have really turned now. Indiana football is not only way better than Purdue football, but like is the dominant force in college football. When Purdue's like best season before this was like 9-3. 9-3.
No, actually, no, this was found out. 1971 was the last time a Purdue team won 10 wins. In the Power 5 conferences, the last time the longest stretch.
The longest stretch,
1971.
yeah.
Purdue.
Yeah.
They've done it one time.
Right. And now we've gone 11-1 and then 12-0. So
yeah.
Thanks. They don't even deserve the title of little brother. Michigan State have a little brother sort of argument. Indiana, Purdue is now more like a little kid down at the end of the block that we have a special sign out in front that like, hey, be nice to this
slow
kid.
Cars. Children playing.
Everybody be careful. Purdue's here. They're going to go talk about putting somebody on the moon again. Okay.
No, they're going to bring up basketball. I mean, that was what was constantly, right. As we clipped some Purdue things, it was constantly about like Indiana. They just started winning the last 2 years. I'm like, I mean, sure, like we had a 3-year bad stretch, but we were beating you in 2019. You dodged us in 2020. Like it is one of those things that it is not completely what they are trying to insinuate.
Yeah. So it was a great game. I was bummed that we didn't get a shutout. I did laugh because I did predict on last week's episode that Barry Odom would kick sad field goals. And that he did. He did try to. So congrats to Purdue on the now only being down, 122-3 over the last two Buckeye games. Yeah, they got a long way to go. Defense was dominant as I expected. Offense, we need to pick up the passing game a little bit, but it didn't really matter to me too much. As I also predicted, the running game just dominated. So I was excited to see us be really physical. Really, I think, get ourselves in the right mindset because now we've got a Big Ten championship game to play. And
let's pull back the curtain a little bit.
Nobody else has.
My fellow co-host called me a dumbass before the game because I was texting and I was joking, but Mendoza before the game was like in like full wraps and all that stuff to avoid the cold, and I was like, this guy doesn't look like his. I wanted like Tyreek Hill against Kansas City in the wild card coming out shirtless in the snow. You of all people, a fan of the Bears, like bear weather, the offensive lineman coming out there shirtless to warm up. That's what I wanted to see, not the kid from Miami completely wrapped up. And then I was like, I'm joking. And then it kind of turned out to be maybe he didn't handle the weather as well as maybe we'd like. And if you think about it, he is from Miami. He played in the Bay Area, probably his coldest game on record in his football career. And like Crimson Cast, Galen Clavio was out at the game, was talking about how everything was frozen. The field was frozen. Like Becker was falling down. The football was hard to throw. You could tell that on some of the kicks and the punts. It made me feel really good that we're playing inside Lucas Oil, and then we're going to the quarterfinals, which is going to be inside a stadium, and most likely, unless we're out in Pasadena, which is great weather, or we're in Miami. Like the worst thing we could deal with going forward is rain.
Right, and we're going to be fine. Now, listen, if you're in a weird crossover, but there's a good sizable group of people that are Indiana football fans and then are maybe from the Cleveland or New York area and fans of the Browns or Jets, then you should be very worried about potentially drafting Fernando Mendoza. You should then be very worried about drafting him for your NFL team. But for Indiana football fans, who cares? Fine. We hit the ball off a bunch of times. And now, like you said, we're going to Lucas Oil Stadium. We're going to the college football playoff. We're going to be in great weather. We're indoors. I would like to have seen something a little bit better, a little bit more akin to what Curtis Rourke and the boys did last year, running the ball and throwing it all over the field against Purdue. we'll get there. It'll be fine. Not the best performance for Heisman Mendoza. We're gonna have to really seal it off with the win on Saturday against the Buckeyes.
I mean, honestly, for the Heisman, and we'll obviously break down the Sayin versus Mendoza aspect of the Big Ten championship game. But for the Heisman, that's what it told me is like
Right.
Mendoza had a shot if he scored like 6 passing touchdowns and looked completely dominated and Sayin lost or didn't play well against Michigan. It could have been like, okay, this is locked up, but it's going to come down to the Big Ten championship game. I think that's what we know so far. A couple of notes for my notebook on this game. First of all, what is happening at right tackle? Like Khalil Benson, who I assumed was still banged up. He wasn't on the injury report, was still banged up, subbed into the game 3 times in the second half.
He certainly started the second half.
But Zinn came back in a few times. And when he started the second half, I thought to myself, Tim, is this I'm pure speculation, no sources. Is this like discipline? Like, was he removed in the first half because of some suspension or whatever like that? That's what my initial thoughts was. But then Zinn came back in and I'm like, okay, it's not you're resting him. Is this, we have a 2 right tackle system that we're doing right now? Are we like Purdue with the 2 quarterback system?
I think I think that was a Kurt Signetti, Bob Bostad looking at the opponent in the Purdue Petes of the world and going, we're going to be fine here. In terms of the outcome of the game, like we're not really worried, but as we've been pointing out, and I've certainly been pointing out the entire season, the Indiana offensive line has holes. It has non-championship caliber players. And so my takeaway ultimately was that game, offensively particularly, was about trying to figure out new ways to win games, new ways to attack defenses, new ways to try to be successful. Which, because as Bobo said, has put out there, Cole Benson, a little bit of always banged up. So Zemikowski might have to play in a championship game, in a college football game. And as we saw against Maryland, I think it was the second offensive snap of the game where Mikowski just got his ass whooped and
at left
absolutely
guard.
cooked.
Out of position at left guard.
But I don't know that he has a good position. That's the problem. I don't know that he was good at left guard. I don't think he's good at right tackle. I don't think he's good at right guard. I think the problem is he's basically the best swing offensive lineman we have to fill in. And we're trying to find how can he hold up at any position with any sort of combination of chip locks or not chip locks. It is kind of weird then that Benson did play, which maybe is just more of like a, where are you at too? Can we see what's going on here? To me, this is just, if there's an alarming thing, coming into Ohio State, it's like, I still don't feel good about the right side of the offensive line. Still got some problems.
You've been saying that all year.
Drew Evans was active, which was great to see, but he also didn't really play. So clearly
he didn't play.
Yeah. I didn't know if he got in any time at all, but he didn't start. We had a Johnny at left guard.
Who's been playing well.
He's played well. He's done suitable, but big difference between Purdue Pete at defensive tackle versus the Buckeyes. So I'm with you that I noticed that right away in the second half when Benson came out. I was like, okay, they clearly are not satisfied with Mikowski as a swing offensive lineman, backup first coming in. It's a real problem for us to be worried about as we go into the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, and of all teams, this defense of Ohio State is going to test every limitation that you have and push on the pain points like that. Yep. That is one thing that they are for sure going to be able to do. So it is something we'll definitely focus on in any sort of preview pod that we talk about this game. Other things from the Purdue game, Stephen Daly might be one of the best defense players in the Big Ten. And he's played in not as many snaps and not many games. He did not start the season as the starter.
He did not. And which is curious to me. I think
he was just raw. I think it's just he's so athletic. I
guess so.
He probably didn't have this the defensive line skills to get into there.
And he did not. show this as much really in the MAC, where he transferred in from, which you would think like, all right, like Mikhail Kamara could dominate those types of levels. And, we had done a good job of identifying those players at the MAC level, production over, power ratings and all that. That's been Cignetti's sort of mantra here. But then we were running Kellen Wyatt out there, and Kellen Wyatt was fantastic too. So maybe this was a matter of like, abundant of riches, but like,
Only one ball.
yeah, only two defensive end spots, and we're going to play Kamara. So, it's nice that if we're to believe that the reason that Mikhail Kamara has not had the production that he had last year is because of focus from an offensive game plan perspective, chip blocks, everything else. It's good to see that the other guys on the defensive line are taking advantage of the opportunity in one-on-one situations, getting to the quarterback, getting in the backfield and making plays. So I was really proud to see that. But I keep doing the national media thing. Let's go back to the opponents. Purdue offensive line, Maryland offensive line, Penn State better, right? Okay. UCLA, like Wisconsin, better, but has some problems. Doesn't have a quarterback threat. So I am hopeful that Stephen Daly can provide this type of production and type of pressure and pass rush win rate basically, right, against Ohio State. But we're gonna see it. He didn't play because he didn't play against Oregon and Iowa. Those games were earlier in the year. I mean, he probably had
he got snaps, but
he wasn't there, right? That was Kellen White.
Yeah.
So what do we do now against a Buckeyes?
I will say Kellen White did go out in the game against Oregon, and Stephen Daly took most of those snaps and held his own. The thing about it though, Tim, is his size and his speed. Like how many times I mentally picturing one time where he completely blew up their reverse that they were trying to do because he beat the left tackle and the left guard and was just standing there waiting for the guy to come into him. I tweeted this. I mean this. I think his measurables, we knew his athleticism was really good. His size is really good. And now there's this production, and you're exactly right. Like he's got to do it against Ohio State. He's got to do it in the postseason. But if he does, he's a dark horse first round pick. Like he is that type of size that NFL teams go, oh, I can put him at end in a 3-4. And like he's going to be a stud. He's a great find. I mean, we say this all the time.
He's a great find, yes.
A great find. He was on winless Kent State last year.
Yeah.
And here he is. It just is amazing by this team.
That's the sort of mantra, not even mantra, the real proven resume fact of the Curt Cignetti era. And people want to talk about how did he do it? Every other program is out there desperate to find their own Curt Cignetti. The reality is what is clearly becoming a dominant fact of college football in 2025 is that nobody evaluates talent like Curt Cignetti and this coaching staff. They understand what a player can do, what they can get a player to do, and how all those players fit together. Because you're right, like if you go back, even this past offseason, transfer portal rankings, right? We plucked all the JMU guys, and so we were kind of up a little bit higher. We got Curtis Rourke, whatever. But then the whole narrative on the offseason was, can Indiana do it again? It's unlikely. How hard is it to hit in the transfer portal all these times? Like these are risky plays, and it's not a good way to win a football or develop a football program. Chris went right back to the well and did it again, and found exactly who it was he needed, built the depth where he needed to build the depth. And now we've got a dominant defense again. And Stephen Daly is a big part of that, who wasn't even really part of the primary plan. So I'm really excited. We've seen time and time again, certainly against the Purdue's of the world. We're done talking about you, Purdue, Pete. Yeah, have fun this offseason.
No, there's one more topic, but it's more about Indiana. But go ahead.
Yeah. But my point here is that the strength of the Indiana football program now has proven to be the defense. It has proven to be Brian Haynes. It's proven to be talent across all levels of our team, across, the line of scrimmage, the athletes on the edge. And Ohio State fans are going to be in for a rude awakening thinking, we've got 5 stars, we've got nobody. We got talent too. And I think that's a big difference coming into this game is where we're going to be able to actually match up and be equal or better at every of these position groups in those battles that'll come next week.
Closing the book on the Purdue game, because you're right, by Purdue, but about Indiana, 2026. The stars, the young players showed out in that game. Like, it was fun to see Alberto Mendoza come in. Of course, I'd like to see him pass more than he's passing, but he does. You don't run up the score by passing when you can just run the ball. He gets that huge RPO. He keeps the ball. He runs down 56 yards, I believe. Kobe Martin comes in, and then Davion Chandler is fast as hell. Another kid out of Lawrence North. Hopefully there's another receiver in the next class that's looking at that. It is one of those things that Indiana, to your point, has done so good on the transfer market, but to see these young players developing, like Anjani, like he's held his own. Like, that's
Absolutely.
good for the offensive line. He's going to be a starter next year. And then you can supplement around those guys. Like, it's hard to project out 2026. Yeah. We'll talk about it in the offseason, but I have to like check myself and go, there's no reason for me to think they're not going to be good.
Yeah, I think I think we definitely have a floor.
Yeah.
People wanted to be like, let's see him do it again next year. Kurt Stingley's built the floor. Like, this is an established fact now that I want every Ohio State fan, every Penn State fan, every Michigan fan, every Oregon fan, every USC fan, I guess. You might not be feeling a certain way. But the traditional fans of powerhouse football programs, you spent every Saturday for decades, talking about each other and being part of the good old boys club. We're here now. We're there. We busted through the door. We're not leaving. You're going to have to deal with us. And we are annoying. It's the best. Everybody's like, oh, look at these Indiana fans. You win a few games, you're coming out of nowhere. You're damn right we're coming out of nowhere. We're coming out of the woodwork. We've been sitting around waiting around for basketball season, reading about Nike Elite AAU tournaments for decades. No, now we actually get to come here and talk about Smash Mouth football. We're coming for you. We are coming for you.
I want to give credit. College Football Reddit was like, Cignetti won his, 12-0 first time. Indiana before Cignetti had like 0 or 1 9-win season, and they might never have a 9-win season again under Cignetti. Basically implying like because they're just going to win 10, 11, and 12 for the rest of the time. Which Cignetti said after the game, I think it was when I'm 80 years old, I'll take time to reflect. Well, you know what that means? There's 15 more seasons of Coach Cignetti is how I read that. And I think we're going to jump a lot of we're going to not be even we're close to the most losing program when he's done. And hopefully we have a few national championships to hang when he's done. No, Tim, you're exactly right. Tim, let's turn the page a little bit and talk about Ohio State win over Michigan. Man, the first quarter, I started laughing. I was like, here we go.
I was ready for it.
The interception, Jordan Marshall's like 35-yard run.
First play of the game. The big house is rocking.
It was
they're trying so hard to play Mr. Brightside at every timeout just to keep the energy going. Like, I was ready for it too. But then, Bryce Underwood, not ready. Not really.
That's the thing that I think. So I said, and it was clipped, and this is what's being found, is if Julian Sayin didn't get pressure against Michigan, who Michigan is a blitz team, and they have a lot of pressure, then I'm very concerned that Indiana doesn't have a chance to win against Ohio State. Well, guess what? Julian Sayin was not touched. Like he was like making crafts in the backfield, like waiting for Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith to break open. It is true. We'll talk a little bit more about specifically Indiana Ohio State's matchup later, But there were some things that I saw that gave me encouragement that, oh, well, Indiana can probably do some other things. And those things are on the offensive side of the ball against Ohio State's defense. Ohio State's defense is very good.
Sure.
Michigan's offense is still very bad.
Very bad.
Very bad. And
Yeah.
when Jordan Marshall went out of that game because he couldn't even lift his right arm, Michigan did nothing. And in the second half, they did nothing. And sorry, Ohio State fans, Bryce Underwood isn't quarterbacking Indiana Hoosiers. It's Fernando Mendoza. It's the receivers on Indiana. Michigan has our leftover receivers that Signetti just told to leave the program.
Right.
We've got Elijah Serrato, Omar Cooper Jr. Hopefully EJ Williams is back. Weird injury. And then, of course,
Charlie
Becker.
Great White Hope. Like, we are coming for it. That's the thing. Yeah. Hey, Buckeye fans, Michigan's best receiver was like Indiana's 6th best receiver last year. Donovan McCulley couldn't get snaps on last year's Indiana's football team. What do you think is coming for you next Saturday? Get the fuck out of here if you think this Buckeye defense is going to hold us to 9 points or some shit. Absolutely not. I was with you. Like, I do worry about our defense against the Buckeye offense, but I feel way more confident about our offense looking way better than it did last year at Ohio Stadium. This year now at Lucas Oil and Fernando Mendoza cooking them up. There's still some great players on that defense. Caleb Downs is a wrecking ball. Arvell Reese, top 5 NFL pick. Absolute rocket machine.
Traitor Caden Curry is very good. He left Indiana to go to Ohio State because he doesn't have the confidence in himself to like help change a program. So he just goes to the good team and is like, look at me, I'm so good.
You had to be Kevin Durant and just join an all-star team. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, go enjoy it. Have fun. But
Caden Curry is Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant finds which is giving him the chance to win the title, and he goes and does it. He looked at the Tom Allen team and was like, that team's never going to do it, so I'm going to go win the title. Meanwhile, Indiana is just taking, as Pat Coogan said, FCS transfers, James Madison transfers, all these misfits and putting them together, and arguably, according to ESPN FPI, our favorites in this game. Meanwhile, Caden Curry's up there with just a nameless face. He could have been a star here.
Yeah. So listen, you're right. It's the Indiana offense is going to be easily the best offense Ohio State will play this year. Like, think about this. Who is the best offense Ohio State has played against? Illinois, I guess. It's not Washington. It's not Penn State with a backup quarterback. Like, I legitimately think it's Illinois, and our offense is like 10x what the Illinois offense is. So I have no problem. Like, we'll talk gambling lines when we get out. What I'm going to be searching for is Indiana team total points. Like, Indiana's going to score 24 points, I think, at a minimum in this game.
And that would be the most the Ohio State defense given up, because there's that famous, like, they've given up 16.
Yeah. So the question will be, right, can Indiana's defense hold Ohio State to 24 or less? And I think that's very possible. Indiana's defense has shown a really good job of getting pressure in a non-traditional way. That the best way college football in particular, and even NFL teams, if you can get pressure with just rushing your straight up 4 guys down and dropping the other 7 back in coverage, that's the best way to win. Yeah, I won't deny that. But Indiana does an extremely good job of simulated pressures with blitzing linebackers. We've seen Bones Jones get tons of sacks, Aiden Fisher get tons of sacks and pressure. And so my question will be, can Ohio State's offense protect Julian Sayin the same way they were able to do against Michigan and Wink Martindale, pretty good defensive coordinator, but maybe a little bit different here. So if that comes through, I think Indiana's got an extremely good chance to win, because I think people are overrating the Ohio State defense against Indiana's offense. And I think our defense is much closer to the talent level and the ability of the Ohio State offense to be able to shut them down some.
Number 1, number 2 in both the college football rankings, AP poll, and coaches poll, and also most metrics, especially now after Texas A&M loses. Is this the best conference championship game? And I want to give a couple caveats because the SEC, Alabama, Georgia, those couple years where they were playing out of each division back in the day when we had divisions were obviously great teams. LSU probably, I don't remember who LSU played in 2019, but probably a good team out of the East, most likely Georgia. But then the Big Ten has never, ever
Yeah.
had this because when we were playing divisions, it was
It was the little sisters of the poor
yikes.
in the Big Ten West. We were like, I guess Iowa again. Hey,
Yeah.
can Iowa get
Well,
some
here's
special
Wisconsin
teams
to lose
touchdowns?
56-0 to Ohio
Yeah.
State. You know,
Yeah,
Purdue made
so-
it twice out of the Big Ten West. That tells you all you need to know.
Exactly. This is easily the best conference championship game. I mean, you're gonna get Alabama, Georgia, but anybody who is a ball knower, we are ball knowers. This is a ball knower podcast. Is that Georgia and Alabama are flawed teams? Alabama has, like, Kalen DeBoer can cook some things up, but like that defense is not good. They gave up 20 points to Auburn, who is terrible offensively. Georgia, extreme play with your food type of a team. I mean, Georgia Tech couldn't do anything to do that. Otherwise, Georgia was dying to give that game away. Kirby Smart, yeah, I mean, good coach, but like has shown the propensity to not show up in big games in certain ways. So that game I think is more about can Alabama make sure they get a bye in the playoff if they lose? What does this look like for the bracket in terms of how it's set up? But the best game, the game that everybody's going to be looking for, and it's what I tweeted out, which is the Big Ten championship game is the preview for the national championship game. I feel so confident about that. You know, last week you asked me like, hey, who is the team that you're sort of most worried about that isn't Ohio State? And I said Texas Tech, and I think that's true. I would be worried about playing Texas Tech. But I think it's very clear to me. It's actually might be very clear to me that the 3 best teams in college football are from the Big Ten, and that Oregon is the 3rd best team. So this is a changing of the guard season, I believe, that's coming up here, and that it's taken the national media a little while to realize it. But when this playoff bracket happens, that's what they're going to see. And Indiana, Ohio State, this game coming up, it'll be real interesting how things play out. Knowing both teams, knowing that they're still going to get a bye and could very well be playing each other for a national title. Does any team hold anything back in this Big Ten championship game? Do certain players maybe sit out or get pulled a little bit early if they got a little tweak here, right? That will be really interesting to me to think about in terms of its implications for the entire college football season on Saturday.
Here's my thing about motivation. Indiana is going to go balls to the wall to win this game.
I hope they do. I hope they do.
And if they lose, I will probably come on this podcast and say they were hiding things. But they were going to go balls to the wall in this game because we know that's what Cignetti does. Like, it's every team, and he's going to go out and try to win every game. And it's history. Like, we've never won the Big Ten championship game in a Big Ten championship title. We've shared it back in the 60s. But, like, it's history. And I think Cignetti cares about that stuff, and I think it's going to be important. On the other side of the ball, I don't think Ryan Day likes Cignetti. I think we saw that last year when he couldn't
know that
kneel
any
the
college
ball.
football coach likes Cignetti, to be
100%.
honest.
And I think if he has the opportunity to rub it in, he's going to rub it in. That's how it is. And by the way, I'm not mad about that. Are you mad about that? I'm not mad about that. Good. I'm glad you hate my coach enough to do that. Tom Allen, they literally like pat him on the head and be like, he's such a nice guy. like that type of stuff. Like you hate my coach. And I appreciate that about him. Honestly, there's some level of how I feel about Vanderbilt right now is Vanderbilt story is like a really cool story, but I hate Diego Pavia. I hate how he talks and all this type of stuff. But if you're a Vanderbilt fan, you love Diego Pavia.
Exactly.
Like Ohio State fans hate Cignetti because of how he talks. There's the gif that's on Twitter of Will Howard stamping out the little cigarette. Like they hate Cignetti so much. That's good for me as an Indiana fan. And speaking of hate, Brian Hartline comes on Twitter. Brian Hartline, the man who has had the best receiving room in the history of college football for the last decade. Like he has turned Ohio State into wide receiver U. It's not LSU. Sorry, it's not.
Nope.
Brian Hartline has done that. Brian Hartline is a phenomenal wide receiver coach who just now became an offensive coordinator, who has not taken any head coaching job. What he has, the bones in his closet, I don't know. You don't know. We're not here to speculate. We're just asking questions. But what Brian Hartline is out here tweeting the week of the game against Indiana is best O-line running backs in the country, best tight ends in the country. Tried. They do it all. Best quarterback in college football, best receivers in the country. All caps, not close. Unless you're blind or don't know football, pick one. Just let me know. Best thing about 12-0, don't even start about the defense. That is his tweet. It doesn't make sense in all parts because he's probably an idiot, which is why he can't get a coaching job. But he can recruit and he can do all of his stuff. But why the hell would you tweet that the week you are playing arguably the most petty defensive coordinator in the country in Brian Haynes? Just setting it up.
Come catch these hands, Brian Hartline. Come catch these hands.
Get your clown shoes ready and dance for me.
We're gonna really see if Brian Hartline can coach up a protection scheme. We're gonna really see if Brian Hartline can appropriately call a run game to support his quarterback. We're gonna see if Brian Hartline can coordinate an offense to win titles and not just beat fucking Bryce Underwood or Damon Williams at Washington or backup against Penn State in a broken team. Like
Malik
we're gonna really
Washington
see
and
if he can do
Maryland.
that. So, maybe he can, but like, please be real, Brian Hartline. Please be real right now. You do have the best wide receiver in college football, Jeremiah Smith. Congratulations. Yeah, great. Carnell Tate, awesome too. Yeah. Let's go see it against the number one graded PFF cornerback in college football, and D'Angelo Pons. Let's go see it against a safety group that I do have my problems with, but is absolutely going to be a ball hawk and will take the risk to nail your guy in the middle of the field. Let's see that happen. Let's see that with Julian Sayin standing back there when Aiden Fisher is barreling down on him and Bones Jones is about ready to tag team him and take his head off. Let's see what's really going to be available because the Indiana defense is going to be coming for him. They're going to be coming for him. I have my doubts about their ability to be successful when all of those things are flowing right. And Brian Haynes has shown himself to, even in the biggest games, against last year's team that did win the national title, the Indiana defense stood up. The Indiana defense was ready for that game at Ohio Stadium. Let's see what happens at Lucas Oil. I don't think they're going to do as well.
I get it. Ohio State beat Indiana in Columbus.
Fact.
Beat them. Okay? But again, go rewatch that game in the game script. Like, it was Indiana making mistakes to allow that game. If Indiana would have played perfect, Ohio State still would have won that game.
Yeah.
But it is not as dominant as they like to make it out to be, especially on the offensive side of the ball. They did not move it as well against Indiana's defense at the time. Like, yes, our offense was frustrating in our play calling selection and conservative. We've unpacked Big Game Signetti, who has now dispelled that against Oregon, and let's see it against Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game. But our defense caused some problems for the same system. Sure, Chip Kelly was the offense coordinator back then, but they didn't change. It's been Ryan Day's system the whole time.
Like
Trust me, Brian Hartline is just the face they're putting out there. Ryan Day's making the calls. It's not Brian Hartline. Like, obviously, he's not been promoted 3 times. They've had like 3 offense coordinators since he's been there and doing his thing at receiver. He's been passed up. Like, they finally are like, I guess we have to hire Brian Hartline. Like, that was the situation. So that's a lot of running your mouth before going up against Brian Haynes in this defense.
It is
and
a
Brian
lot of
Haynes
running your
is
mouth.
noticing. He's noticing.
I listen, you know who I think is really noticing? Bob Bostad. And I think Bob Bostad noticed all year because We're kind of already doing a game preview anyway, but I don't care because I want to get these takes off.
Yeah, you are
Okay,
definitely just doing our Thursday episode.
it doesn't matter. We'll do it again on Thursday. Tune in again in 5 days where we're still talking the same shit again. Okay, because listen, you go back. You brought it up. I want to encourage Indiana fans to go and watch 2 games. Go back and go watch that Ohio State game last year. And then I want you to watch, very importantly, the Penn State game this year. And there's big differences. Okay, Mike Kadick was on a podcast earlier this year and was talking about, hey, when we went into Ohio State, our protection schemes were all over the place. We didn't know what we were doing. I couldn't tell left from right. I couldn't hear all those things, and that showed. Right, Curtis Rourke was getting rocked. We got rocked when we caused a strip sack, gave up a touchdown there. It was a problem. But compare that last year's team and the protection scheme and the quarterback to this year's team for Indiana. And when, admittedly, we were facing a really good defensive line in Penn State, and it came down to a final drive to go 88 yards with the boys and score a touchdown. And what was Jim Knowles doing? Bringing the pressure from Penn State. We drive all the way down the field. Pretty good protection, actually, the entire way. The last few plays of that Penn State drive, it is Penn State bringing the house. It was nothing but one-on-one coverage from Penn State against Indiana's receivers. And Fernando Mendoza knew exactly where to go. Go look at that Urban Meyer clip where he's giddy about Fernando Mendoza breaking down a defense. That's what's coming for you, Brian Hartline in Ohio State. That's what's coming for you to the defense. Like, this team is so much more well-suited to take down Ohio State than it was last year. This is not the same group here. So, like, talk all the shit you want. Think about it, Buckeye fans. But this is a different monster that's coming to beat you at Lucas Oil Stadium next Saturday.
We've said on the podcast all along, Ohio State might win, probably going to win. But, like, to act like Indiana is just going to get their doors blown off of them, to act like Indiana doesn't belong in this game is a joke. Like, I can't take you seriously. I just honestly can't take you seriously. I'm not here predicting Indiana's going to blow out Ohio State. I'm not saying that. I'm not even indicating that. But just to act like we don't deserve to be on the same playing field, get the hell out of here.
Not true.
Speaking of getting out of here, Tim, you're going to the Big Ten Championship game, and you just let me know that you think you're sitting on the Ohio State side. How miserable living in Indianapolis with all these Ohio people coming over. Like, when I was, my family's all from Kentucky. We'd go to Kentucky, we'd go to lakes, and they called them the Ohio Navy when all the boats came down from the Ohio. The Ohio Army, Bucknut, is going to be walking through the streets on Meridian and the streets of Indianapolis, going to Broad Ripple. Like, are you just like going to bring some hand sanitizer everywhere?
I'm going to have to break out my COVID era mask to get rid of all of the.
Just to block your facial expressions. Like, you need sunglasses and a mask to like rolling your eyes when they're going, oh, wait. And then like all this type of stuff. It's coming.
They're the worst. I can't stand them. They think they're just like God's gift to college football. And it's just like, you're not even close, really, if we're being honest. And listen, Indiana is about to be God's gift to college football. Thank you to our Lord and Savior, Kurt Signetti. But like, Ohio State, historically, good program. You're not Notre Dame. You're not USC. You're not Alabama. You're not even like Florida, kind of. Like, you're not even, in a way, LSU. Like, no. You're just kind of the best of the Big Ten East for years. So, like, pipe it down some. I'm not excited about it, but I do expect that the Indiana fans are going to really show out for this game at Lucas Oil. I expect it to be probably a little bit more intermixed. I mean, listen, I bought tickets to this game months ago. I knew then that this was going to be Indiana and Ohio State, so I just picked a side. You know, it's hard to know the exact standings, how they were going to break out, but we'll see. I will be probably like seeing the Ohio State bench, so I'll be doing heavy scouting work, maybe a little Connor Stallions, little relay back to the Indiana bench on some signs. We'll have to see. I'm going to have to really study the tape this week, but I'm going to be ready to take down the Bucknut, whatever the hell his name is, on Saturday.
Well, There's going to be a lot on Saturday, and you can follow us on all the different channels: TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Everything is at Kirkwood and Dunn. The full thing. Dunn is spelled D-U-N-N. So make sure that you do that. When we come back, we're going to talk about the national landscape and how that impacts it. Little Lane Kiffin talk. The ACC, completely chaotic. But you know what? It's fun. It's college football. That's what we got. You're listening to Kirkwood and Dunn. My bad on the transition there. Video podcast will learn that we don't actually take a break during it. We just cut it up for the audio, but it's totally fine. We need a commercial. If you'd like to sponsor the Kirkwood Dunn episode and are okay with us making, hey, it's episode 69.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
You're okay with those jokes, that we're good. All right. So Lane Kiffin is the biggest tease and loves the attention. That is the national narrative, right?
This is Lane Kiffin is the most Pretty Little Liars coach that we have ever had in college football. Like, I cannot believe this guy is like a CW drama queen everywhere he goes, and has been from day one. Like, he was like 24 and getting the Tennessee job, and then like going to the Raiders, and like, this is incredible that people have not seen this coming from a mile away, that he was going to cause all the drama possible before he takes his LSU job, which he is going to do. Like, whatever else, this has really just been about him trying to be like, but I like to coach my team. Please believe that, like, I'm a good person. No, bro, you're jumping ship. Ole Miss, you look like actually the fools here in my mind. You should have been kicking him to the curb last week. Who cares? Like, he used you, and you're just trying to be like, but maybe, would you like to stay? Would you like to, let's do dinner. Like, let's come to my house. I baked you like a fresh pie. Like, that's what the Ole Miss chancellor basically did, was like, please stay, Lane. God, how pathetic.
So I think that there's a couple layers here. One, to your point, there is like a psychology things that like movie stars or famous athletes, like when they become famous and rich, they're like stunted in their mental state at whatever age that they became famous. See, i.e. Justin Bieber, Britney Spears, like those people. So Lane Kiffin maybe has a little bit of that, like the attention stuff, because he's been famous since he was in his early 20s. But the second element of this is, I think a lot of this is legalese. I think Kiffin is holding them hostage. The Ole Miss cannot fire him. If Ole Miss says, take the road, they owe him a buyout. And I think that, like, Jimmy Sexton is his agent. The contract is, like, there. And by the way, we're recording this on Sunday morning, so by the time people are listening to this, it might have already been resolved. But I think that was the delay, like, of all those things. And right now, it's still the delay. He has not formally told them he is taking the LSU job. And so he is holding them hostage because they can't just say, get out. The only thing they can do is, if you take the LSU job, you can't coach. And that is what seemingly is his problem. And seemingly is what, like, Nick Saban is acting like is just an atrocity, when he did the exact same thing to Lane Kiffin after the semifinals when he took the Florida Atlantic job.
Yeah.
It's the most hypocritical thing ever.
These college football coaches are the most, like, self-aggrandizing, like, group of people in the world. They're totally like protectionism for all, like, each other. It's so stupid. Like, Ole Miss, and I get it, right? Yeah, you can't, like, technically fire him because then maybe you would have to. But, like, what you should have done is you should have said, we believe that Lane Kiffin wants to coach LSU next year. At this time, we've asked him to not show up to the facility. He has been, like, suspended with pay. Maybe not exactly that, because the suspension gets into, like, legalese, but been like, we're still paying him because legally we have to. But right now, I'm asking him to not show up to work while we, like, reevaluate priorities at the head coaching position. And, like, you put all the pressure on him, because this is the thing. Even, like, Lane Kiffin wants to, like, sue or whatever else, just like LSU was trying to sue for Brian Kelly's payout or whatever else. You're going to win the court of public opinion. Everybody, every judge in Mississippi will believe that Lane Kiffin, whether he, like, put down pen to paper like he's John fucking Hancock, that I'm going to go take the other, doesn't matter. he had mentally sort of given that up, and that LSU was kind of within their rights to do that, and then be like, you know what, Lane, we're going to withhold pay because we believe you weren't doing like honest work for the job that you had. You know, like this is the whole thing. There's probably we'll need to get some lawyers on here to do this. We'll have to review some contracts. We'll have to do a little con law 101. But it was easily the most predictable thing from the get-go here for Ole Miss. You hire Lane Kiffin, you get into the drama business. And that's what you were a part of.
Speaking of the drama business, the SEC continues to show they're a little bit fraudulent. Georgia struggling
everywhere
with
fraudulent.
Georgia Tech, Alabama struggling with Auburn. And sure, you can be like, there's rivalries and throw the record book out, but like, I'm sorry, Ohio State and Indiana didn't have a struggle. Yeah, they didn't struggle.
Didn't see us struggle with our rivals.
Yeah, Oregon slapped Washington down pretty hard as well. So here's the thing. And also, before they say, well, the Big Ten teams at the bottom of the conference stink, which is true. No one's arguing that, but they might stink a little less than your SEC teams because Louisville took care of Kentucky and Clemson took care of South Carolina.
Yeah. Yeah, that South Carolina team that just like dominated a half against A&M at their place. Yeah, they shit the bed and gave it up. But like that's how they're bad. The bottom of those conference teams are bad.
Yeah, like, Oklahoma almost losing to LSU. Like,
right.
It is ridiculous what is happening in the SEC. I think no matter what, the SEC champion's getting a bye, especially if it's Georgia and potentially if it's Alabama, even though I know that's debated a little bit. But this is like where it goes back to, one, you got to fill up the bracket. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
I think Ohio State's number one if they win. Indiana's number one if they win. But I think Ohio State and Indiana are number two if they lose.
Yeah, fact.
I think that's what's been decided.
1,000% locked into the 1 and 2 seed for the college football playoff.
I would say not 1,000%. I would say 95% because there's still that if Georgia beats Alabama, which is Georgia's only loss of the year, then I could see them putting Georgia at number 2 and then Indiana or Ohio State at number 3. I could see it. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I could see it. So
listen, this is the college football playoff is a entertainment product and a money-making enterprise. Yeah. So like, let's be real. We are real ball knowers. And we know that also Greg Sankey, commissioner of the SEC, and Tony Petitti, media executive, technically, I guess, commissioner of the Big Ten, is running college football. So yeah, maybe do they play around with the seating a little bit? I think it's possible, but I think we end up as 1 and 2 for sure.
Okay, so Indiana is probably in that at least 2 or 3 spot. Georgia's there at the number 2, or Alabama potentially, or vice versa. Here's the thing. What do you do with the ACC? Because the ACC conference has decided to just be absolute chaos. Their arguably best team lost to Louisville, lost to SMU, which put us in a situation where last night where if SMU won, they were in. But instead, we have Duke and Virginia, one of those teams, most likely, unless you want to share your chaos scenario, most likely will be in the college football playoff. That's a problem, right?
It's a huge problem because they are terrible. It's so funny because, very technically speaking, the rules of the college football playoff are the top 5 conference champions automatically earn their spot, regardless of their sort of like ranking and whatever else, right? So when we've been previewing the bracket each week and talking about this, what everybody has mostly assumed was then you would have 4 of those would be the Big Ten champion, the SEC champion, the Big 12 champion, and then the ACC champion. And then the 5th one would be maybe the Sun Belt champion, maybe the American Conference, one of these other smaller conferences. It's looking like Tulane. We'll see. But here's the thing now. If Duke, who is 7-5 and has like awful losses on their resume, but because they kind of won a weird lopsided ACC schedule, if they beat Virginia, and Virginia is like an okay team, but they're not like nobody. Virginia, if they make this playoff, will be a 3-touchdown underdog against whomever they play. But if Duke wins, Duke is objectively terrible. They may not make the playoff, and they may go 2 champions from what's called the group of 5, like the American and the Sun Belt over them, because Duke lost to Tulane. Duke went to Tulane and lost. There's plenty of reason to be Duke is not as good as a James Madison or Memphis or South Florida or somebody else, because who have they beaten? They've beaten the garbage of the ACC. So the ACC is really, really shooting itself in the foot in terms of its sort of standing nationally with the rest of the college football powers.
So there's a lot of consternation. We have
big words. We're going to be a big words podcast now.
We literally, I know if this gets clipped, I'd like to see the caption on that one. The reality is that there's not enough spots for as many teams that think they should be in the college football playoff. And are you where do you fall on Texas? Texas, Sarkisian comes out, whines. God, the SEC coaches are just so good.
What a time-honored tradition.
Just talking about their conference being the best, that losses don't matter because it's their conference. They are whiny. Kirby Smart just created this ecosystem because, you might say it's Saban, but Saban didn't talk. They were so good. They never had to talk like this. Kirby just positioning himself, and now Texas is doing it. By my estimation right now, the locks are Indiana, Ohio State, Bama, A&M, Georgia, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Oregon, Texas Tech. Okay? So that leaves one spot, because you're going to get a group of 5 champion, you're going to get an ACC champion. That leaves one spot for Notre Dame, BYU, Miami, Texas, Vanderbilt, and Utah.
Yeah. And the committee has shown they're going to put Notre Dame in. So I think Texas is going to be on the outside looking in. They like many other teams, needed Auburn to beat Alabama last night, because then Alabama would have been out. Auburn's not making it, of course. And Ole Miss would have gone to the conference championship game now. But now that Alabama is going to be in the conference championship game, they're not going to kick out a team from the SEC conference championship game out of the playoff. That is not going to happen. So Alabama, you're right, 100,000% in the playoff. That's one spot, and that's going to go to Notre Dame. And then you're just going to hear Texas, Vanderbilt, all these other programs, Miami especially. Yep, they're going to be pretty vocal about it too.
I think Miami has a case. I'm sorry, Miami has a case. They should be mad if they don't get in.
Listen, I would. This is what in TV Hoosiers bracket, Notre Dame wouldn't be in because they've beaten nobody, and I would put Texas in. But they've already power ranked and put Notre Dame up there. I think that's going to be in no matter what. The ACC has been so bad, right? SMU, who beat Miami, loses at Cal last night, being a favorite of 20-some points. And it looked pathetic, their effort there. So the SEC is going to be clamoring about everything else. So this is going to be a weird week where we're just going to be actually talking about the ACC schedule, but it's going to be because the SEC wants that spot, and Notre Dame basically plays an ACC schedule with some weird, mutations on that schedule. But Notre Dame ain't beating anybody. I can't wait to be betting against Notre Dame come the playoff. Let me tell you right now, I am, that is a fraud schedule. It's a fraud team coming for you, Notre Dame. I don't think you're shit. So this is a Big Ten season. This is a maybe SEC kind of sneaking around here a little bit. I still think Georgia can play. Georgia's best game is a very good game. I think Texas Tech's best game is a very, very good game. I don't know that they can get up there, but I've got Texas out. I've got Vanderbilt out. I've got the rest of those SEC teams out. You laid it out there perfectly. The last spot is going to go to Notre Dame. This is a TV business.
Man, it's going to be wild. I had to ask you, are they going to do a Tuesday night show? Because I feel like Tuesday night, how they do that order is going to just reveal how the bracket is. There's nothing that really changes outside of, if BYU beats Texas Tech, Texas Tech's going to take that last at-large spot.
Yeah,
I think.
that would be really interesting because
Yeah.
then BYU would kind of have to be in, and Texas Tech is still very, very good and would be so much better. The bracket reveal on Tuesday, what I'm going to be watching for, I think, is that's going to reveal who the teams will be that go in, and
Yeah.
then everything else after that, after the championship games, is going to be about seeding because I do think
They'll
they
play
did it
with the
last year.
seeding to make sure there's no rematches and to make sure there's like good TV games in that first round.
And what I think the committee is, and the committee held the chair of the committee just changed 2 weeks ago. But I think even though the members change, their stance will be that the championship games, losers of those games, if they were generally speaking well regarded, will not really be shifted around because it's a game you have to like qualify to go play. So there's not going to be big changes after next weekend's game, the final bracket. The real bracket to pay attention to is this one, because this will tell you how they feel about all the teams truly.
Well, it's going to be a fun week, hopefully a fun Saturday, and then we're going to continue to talk about football, which is absolutely my dream because there's been seasons in my Indiana fandom where I was having to be done talking about football because we were over because we got beat by Purdue and weren't bowl eligible. We are definitely bowl eligible, and we are one of the best teams in college football, and it is exciting. Check us out again, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, at Kirkwood and Dunn. You can follow Tim on Twitter at TB Hoosiers, and you can follow me at ST McGee. I'm sure Ohio State fans are going to find us after all of these gets clipped, so it's going to be super fun. Hey, I enjoy the engagement. It's a good time. Go Hoosiers, get healthy, prep for this game, and Drew Evans, if he starts, has never lost a game in Indiana uniform.